Hi, I'm Gail and welcome back to low-carb-recipe-ideas.com. Sorry guys, summer's been so busy and I haven't done many videos, so I'm going to try and cram in a couple today to try and catch up because I love doing it. It's just life is so busy right now. Anyway, we're going to make a low-carb coconut flour flatbread. It's pretty good. I have some other ones on my site that I also like, and this one's a little different, but I want to give you variety because you might get tired and you might really like this one. I'm going to rate it as okay, but everybody's taste is different, so I hope you give it a try. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make it. This is a very simple recipe. It doesn't take long to make. It's more the cooking that's the part that's the lengthy time of preparing this. So the first thing we're going to do is I have two tablespoons of solemn husk, and it's very fine. Then I have half a cup of coconut flour. Now I don't want any lumps in it, so I'm just going to sift it. So I'm almost done it. I got some lumps in there. I don't know if you can see them, so I'm just trying to break them up. There we go. So we're just going to take and mix our solemn and coconut flour together. Mix that all up. I have no lumps in there, and it works better with no lumps. We're going to put in a cup of warm water. Now this just came out of the tap, so I'll mix this up. Now if you haven't worked with coconut flour very much and solemn, it absorbs like crazy, the liquid. So we're just going to mix this all up. Now we're going to add in a tablespoon of olive oil. You can also use avocado oil if you'd like. Okay, now we're going to add in a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda. Mix this well. Now I'm going to knead it with my hands. I just want to kind of mix stuff up a little with the spatula first. Now I like a little bit of salt in mine, and I don't like to put it in at the same time as the baking soda, so I have a quarter of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Shoot, I just dumped part of it out onto the counter, so we'll put it back in. So we're going to mix this up. Now I'm going to use my hand and I'm going to knead it, and then we're just going to let it sit for about 10 minutes just so that the liquid can absorb into the coconut flour and the solemn. And the nice thing is, with this recipe, there's no eggs. So if anybody's allergic to dairy or whatever, this would be a perfect recipe for you. So that'll help the people that can't have the eggs. So I'm just going to let that sit for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to divide it up into 4, and then we're going to roll them. So there's our dough in there. So my dough's been sitting there for about 10 minutes. It feels moist. It doesn't stick to your hands, which is really awesome. So I'm just going to roll it into a ball, and I'm going to cut it into 4. So I'll just put the other 3 back into the bowl. And then what I'm going to do is make this into a little ball. Put it in the center. Hopefully I can keep this nice and round. And the only trick that I found is you can't have it too thin, because then you can't get it off of the parchment paper. So I have parchment paper on the bottom, and then I've got my dough on top. Then what I've done here is I took a 8-inch plate, drew a circle, because I'm going to kind of use that as a guide, and I'm going to roll. Now, I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. Here on the side, I'm going to pull it down to the side, and I'm going to lean up against it. And when I lean up against it, that holds the paper from getting away from me. And then I'm just going to start rolling out the dough. And I'm going to try and bring it just past the edge a little bit. You can make any kind of size of wrap flatbread that you'd like. And hopefully I don't have this too thin, because the last ones I made, they were a little bit smaller, but I thought I'd give it a try on here and see what would happen. And if you can't maneuver the pin around, just turn stuff around like this and make it comfortable for you. So I've got that. See, I've got it too thin there on the one side. So I peel that off. Then you can take your plate and then go around the edges to take off the excess. Now if I've got it too thin, I'm going to have trouble getting it off the parchment paper. So we'll see what happens with this particular one, and it's all trial and error. I can make my boo-boos with you guys, because that way you learn from my mistakes. And I'm just going to put this dough back in. Okay, so I almost have a perfect circle, and now we're going to try and lift it off and get ready with our frying pan to put it in and cook on both sides. So I've got my avocado oil here. I have a baster. Oh shoot, I didn't want to put that much on there. That's a little too much oil. This is a non-stick pan, so I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm going to wipe off a little bit of the oil I put in there. Because if you have a non-stick pan, you don't need a lot, and you don't need a lot of oil on your pan. Now if you have a pan that is non-stick, I think you're going to have to use more oil, but I think it'll be a little more difficult even to cook these, for the fact that if it's a non-stick. So I'm going to heat this up. So I'm going to turn it down kind of medium-high. And now I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to see if I can peel off my wrap, which is perfect. And then we're going to, and I'm actually going to, when I put it in my pan, I'm going to do it in the far back. That way I can get my flipper in there and I can turn it over a lot easier. Okay, so that's my first one. And what I'm going to do is I've just got a little screen here, and I'm going to take it and let it cool off. And all the little, you know, when it's wide open, airy like that, it cools off a lot quicker. So let's make another one. I'm still going to use the same parchment paper. They don't always work out. They're not always, I'm not always successful. So let's try one again together and see if I can make a nice perfect one again. There's a little bit on the parchment paper here, so I'll take that off. Okay, so I've got my circle again. Put it in the center. I'm going to bring it and put it underneath my tummy there just to hold the parchment paper, and then we'll start rolling again. And we'll keep working at it till I get another circle. And you might, like I said, you might have to take it, you can turn it like around and fold it over the edge and just hold it with your tummy. And just keep rolling till you get just past the circle here. And that's only so that you get a nice, perfect circle when you're finished. I just had to turn my burner down a little bit. It felt a little warm from behind. And like I said, if you get it too thin, you're gonna have trouble getting it off of the parchment paper. And hopefully I haven't got this one too thin. So let's take a look and see what I come up with. See, it's a little thicker there, thinner over there. So I'm just going to put my plate on there. You can use a lid from a pot if you'd like. Just scrape off the excess. Perfect. Now let's hope that I can get it off the parchment paper, because that's where it is the trickiest. So we'll go back to the oven, to the stove. Now I think I have enough oil on my baster. And I just put the pan back on the burner. So let's see what happens here. Just play with your paper a little bit. Look at that, that's perfect. And we're gonna put it in there. Okay, now what I did was, maybe it's like a minute, I'm not really sure. I just let it sit there for a little bit, and then I will lift up the edge to see if it's kind of brown. Even if it's not totally brown, if it lifts nice and easy, I flip it over, and then I'll flip it over again once I've got each side done the color I want it to be. So we'll cook this one and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, let's check it and see what we got going here. This one, maybe I didn't put enough oil on it, but it shouldn't stick. There we go. Perfect. So it doesn't take very long, maybe a minute on each side. They're not bad. They're pretty good. It's just here in Canada, like, you have to order online if you try and get low-carb wraps. And it's ridiculous. We shouldn't have this problem, so I'm always sneaking over to Port Huron and picking up all my wraps, and then I freeze them and make my crackers or whatever I'm doing. I'm going to put that on just a little bit longer. But you might quite like them, and I hope you give them a try. So I'm going to lift that one off and put it on my rack with the other one. There we go. And they're flexible. Like they're staying solid. They are quite thin. It's not that you're going to get tons of dough, so I think you should give these guys a try. I'm going to make up my next two, and then we'll finish off the video. Okay, so I thought I'd make myself a little wrap, chicken wrap. Look how flimsy they are. They're awesome. They're great. And now I have my garlic dip that I have on my site. I think it's one of the first ones that I've ever put on my site, and I love it. I have actually revised it even more, and I probably should redo it because it's just as good with the simple recipe that I use now. So I've got my garlic dressing, and I've got some chicken, and you know how much I love my herbamare. I'm going to sprinkle some herbamare onto my chicken, which is this right here. I have to be careful because the container kind of pours out. There's something wrong with the lip of it. I've got some red peppers, and I've got some marbled cheese that I'm just gonna throw in there. I love red peppers on my food, just love it. And a little bit of romaine lettuce. Now, the trick that I like doing is, because you don't want it all to roll off the end, I basically take it, lift it up, and roll so that you've got all your food inside. So there we go. So let's try it and see how this wrap is. So here is my coconut flour wrap. It works really well. I can fold up the end if I'd liked so that I don't lose what's going on in the bottom. Like that. It's quite good. Now, when I take a bite, hopefully I'm not going to take too much, and then I can't talk to you. You know what? It's even better the second time around when I made these. Quite good with the ingredients that I got inside here. Very, very good. So I suggest you give these a try. It is a little bit of work. It's easy to put it together. It's just rolling it and frying them in the frying pan. But if you'd like to go to low-carb-recipe-ideas.com, try this recipe. It's quite delish. And try some of my other ones. And I promise I will try and really try to get doing more videos. I like to do one a week, but it's just not happening through the summer. So you guys enjoy your summer, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.